tigers. And heck, lions, because they're larger because they're hunting in groups. Cheetahs usually hunting on their own. Take a look to the left-hand side. Some wildebeest and also some little tiny tan gazelle. Those are some of our grass gazelle. That's something that those cheetahs are definitely going to be hunting out in the wild. Everybody else out here is too big. Now, a little bit closer to us, we have some of our fringed-eared oryx. This is an antelope species that you're probably going to find in East Africa, way back into the station. While we're out here today, it is important to keep in mind that Africa is a very large, varied, I'd say, anywhere from giraffe to rhino to antelope to gazelle. But what's important to keep in mind is that the wild, she's going to be living kind of scrubby or mixed habitats. She doesn't necessarily have too much to worry about as far as her own safety is concerned. However, Lumbee here is pregnant. She's going to have a calf in May. I know, it's exciting, especially because they're endangered. Only about 3,000 of them right now in the world, so one more is a good thing. Lumbee here out in the wild would have to raise that baby all on her own. She's not going to have any that we have here at the park. She is not under pounds when they're born, so definitely going to be very, very vulnerable for that risk of predation. And as we become a predator, it fills basically the same ecological niche as our other wading birds, like our egrets. So they kind of walk along through shallow water. They have nice long bills, able to grab at amphibians, reptiles, and fish. We have pelicans out here as well. Take a look. Some of them might actually be hunting if their head goes down underwater. Occasions on both ends. Now as we pull on up this hill, we're going to be leaving behind our pond and coming to populations out in the wild. And so of course if we overhunt them, guess what? Very, very hard for a desert dwelling species to make a really big comeback. We're breeding them here in captivity as the animal plant as the sable. Sable antelope have darker colors to blend in with their environment. They don't want to be spotted by their predators. They live in places with a lot of shade. In fact, same thing here. Colored coat. You're going to blend in just a little bit better that way. Alright, up on that hillside we do have a lot of animals just kind of roaming around. We're actually going to be heading back up that way. Now ostriches are known for being kind of silly, not very smart, doing kind of dumb things, but to tell you the truth, they are absolutely fabulous at what they do. They're generally herbivores, although they'll probably eat insects as well, maybe small rodents if they got the opportunity, and they are pretty good at getting away from just coming from a really good distance. So ostriches have a bad rap. A little bit different than Lumbee back there. These ones are actually social. They're going to be living out in open grasslands. There's plenty of food for everybody, so they can afford to live in groups, anywhere from 2 females all the way up to 8, maybe even 10. That would be a pretty large group though. So they're going to be able to keep their babies a little bit safer, so they don't need to be quite as aggressive. By having more females around, they're going to do a little bit better at raising them. Now take a look at their body structure. White rhinos have a very, very large head, very bulky body, and they have a very wide lip, very wide mouth. They're going to be able to pull a lot of grass into the mouth at the same time. So those are some nice adaptations basically, just for their environment, for getting lots of nice grasses, lots of food. They also have horns. Of course, that's what makes a rhino a rhino. Those horns are made out of keratin, and the same stuff as our hair and our fingernails. Now, just like our fingernails, that horn is going to continue to grow throughout their lives, and in fact, they have to continually sharpen it on things, which, as we know, is made out of keratin, like our hair and our fingernails. Nothing. Let's go and take a stop for her. Now, right now, we only have one male out here, Ivan. We're going to get to see him in a minute. These females are anywhere from about 14.5 to maybe 16 feet tall. That's pretty typical for a female giraffe. Out in the wild, she's mostly going to be eating very, very good eyesight to make up for that. Kind of like the ostriches here. They're going to be able to spot their predators coming from about 2 miles away. Keeps you a little bit safer. Here's another coming up to Ivan, our big dude, who is almost 18 feet tall. He's about 17.5. Now, Ivan up here looks a little bit funny and rides your bike on a busy street. Ivan out in the wild is going to have to compete with other males for territory and for females. Now, do you guys smell something musky? Who back there smells something funny? Anybody? Okay, a little bit? Yeah, that's Ivan. Yes, I know. He has giraffe man musk. That is very, very typical of a lot of male animals. If you have a strong smell that lets other males know that you are around, you can mark his territory. In fact, a lot of the scent glands are up around Ivan's face, preorbital glands right in front of his eyes. So as he walks along, both here in captivity, if he was out in the wild, he'd be doing the same thing, rubbing his face up against vegetation, up against trees. So when other males come and see These last two trees, if you take a look all the way up there, not quite to the green hillside, you're going to spot one gemsbok standing by herself. It's already almost half the size of an adult. Huge growth rate. Absolutely have to do that out in the wild, otherwise you're going to die. The smaller you are, the more vulnerable. With our Cape Buffalo, right over here, these are the large black bovine. We have a baby nursing right behind his mom. That baby is definitely an animal that a lot of predators won't bother attacking. Alright, let's go ahead and move on up this hill. In this little boma here, this is one of our young droughts. This is a Toto of years. He's only a year old, he's already about 12 feet tall. Again, super fast growth rate, really, really important. That big pile of sticks. You guys all spot? Isn't that adorable? Really cute. But as you can see, it's a lot smaller than its siblings. For a male grazing along and right up above him, it looks like a young female that was born this year. Let's go ahead and take a stop right here. Now the interesting thing about horns on antelope is that to push their predators out of the way to defend themselves, but generally they're used for competition with conspecifics or animals of the same species. The point is all the way back. That looks like it's going to be used much more for kind of pushing around something rather than hand side. I want you guys to look along this tropical environment in which they live in the wild. All predators are going to have a really limited range of color vision compared to our own. It's not that they see in black and white. That's not true. They do have color receptors in their eyes, but they don't have as many. The right hand side, but follow the pond. Usually they are not going to follow along behind mom and the rest of the herd. That would be too dangerous. Because they're smaller, they're going to be at a higher risk of predation. So generally speaking, they kind of tuck themselves down out of the way. Mom comes back just like this gal has to nurse, to clean them up, make sure that they're safe. Definitely have more to see. We don't want to run out of time. And we have a lot of room here at the park, actually about 1,800 acres. Half of that we obviously are going to be unfortunate because its habitat is so endangered, and many of the plant and animal species you will not find in any other place in the entire world. So not a lot of this stuff left. So it's unfortunate for that reason. But you can spot that in a couple different places out in the wild. It's going to be very confusing to their predators. A lot of the animals are going to be having to hunt and point to grab. You're not going to be able to take down an animal on your own. But if you can't really decide on that, you can't tell where the body outline is, where one animal actually begins. You're going to get look like a wash of gray against the back vegetation. But at closer range, as you can see, it's much more just kind of blending in with one another, making them look like that big, massive stripes. Really cool. I'm glad we got to see them all hanging out together. All right, let's go. Those are some of our youngsters, it looks like. We had about 13 of them born this summer. So playing behavior, sparring behavior is actually going to help them to build muscle. And of course then be able to do a little bit better. They're going to be able to. But take a look up on the right hand side for something in Africa. Now out here in the Americas, that's all we have. We have deer and we have one unique species called pronghorn. It's actually not an antelope, but we're not going to go into that right now. Africa, though, we already said they have lots and lots of antelope, over 7 different species. This is the only native deer species, so it's kind of cool. As we push along here, take a look up on the top. We have some of our Nkoli cats. Absolutely enormous. Now this is actually the only domesticated species that we have here at the park. Since horns are generally your whole skull exposed, that means somebody could come up and give you a pretty good thump on the noggin. We saw that Ivan back there had lots of calcifications, lots of bumps all over the front part of his skull to keep. This is a youngster that was born at the beginning of the summer. Obviously he's pretty big. It's still one of our new babies. Now, he's not used to being away from his mom too much. As you can see, we have another calf. And so those youngsters, because they have their moms around them for a little bit longer, are probably going to have a higher success. Came to the park about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. And he is now the tallest animal at the park at about 18 feet tall. He has been spending a lot of time with all of our girl droughts, getting to know them a little bit better. In fact, here he comes over. Alright, let's go ahead and make our way back towards the same. We also found other ways of dealing with predation, like quite full grown yet, so we probably will end up topping that 500-pound mark. Very large animal. So you can see how easy, if he had a couple of friends, to be able to take down almost any animal that we saw out there.
Is she the one that was bit by a rattlesnake? That is a good question. No. The cat that was bit by a rattlesnake, you might have seen it in Zoo News. That just came out. She does live next door to that cat, but that was a caracal, which is another cat that is found in the same areas as the serval. Very, very different animal though. Servals are very shy, solitary cats, and their instinct, if something scares them, is take off running. I want to get away. Caracals, on the other hand, have actually been known to defend themselves against lions, which a caracal is about the same size. A little bit stockier, but about the same size cat, and they have just enough fight in them that they are not going to back down from any. Do you think she's a cat that's going to spend a lot of time up? But you can pretty much wipe out a population in a small country in Africa. There are areas in Africa that servals used to be common, but they're now considered extinct in those areas. And it's simply because of persecution for that coat. Has she had kittens before? Yes. If you're regulars at the park, you've probably seen some other servals that were out and about. Bella actually came to us to be a breeding animal. We didn't know she was going to be this well adapted to training, and so when she came to us, we thought we'd just get them to have kittens. So she had 3 litters of kittens. She actually had the first one before she even came up here. All of our animals go into quarantine. Down at the zoo, we have a very good quarantine for cats, so that is where Bella and her mate were in quarantine. And by the time they got out of quarantine, she was already pregnant. So they found something to do. And so she had her first 3 kittens down there. She had 2 more litters when she came to live here at the park. If you
Sweetie, look through there. Look through there. In the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'll move this way. You see no more room. Look at the legs, look at the mental stuff.
Dad's taking a video of us because this is extraordinarily interesting.
Oh, yeah, the big hair. And then there's 2 beautiful white ones.